Hi kids, today we're going to look at the second beatitude. Remember, a beatitude is all about how we behave, thinking about how Jesus would like us to be, rather than the me attitude where we please ourselves and put ourselves first. We're going to learn what Jesus means when he said blessed, remember that means happy, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. What does it mean to mourn, do you think? Where have you heard that word before? Often we use it to describe how we're feeling when someone we love dies. That sadness that we feel when we realise that we're not going to see them again. There's no sadness as deep as the sadness we feel when somebody we love isn't there anymore. And this is the kind of sadness that Jesus means when he says, blessed are those who mourn. What a strange thing to say. How can we be happy when we're feeling so sad? But we don't only feel like that when someone dies. He means the kind of sadness that makes your heart and your tummy hurt. But Jesus says that when we feel like this, that really painful kind of sadness, we can be happy because he's going to comfort us. Have a look at these shapes that I've got here on the table. I wonder, what do you think we could make with these? Let's have a look and see if we can work out how they go together, shall we? Maybe the patterns on the paper would help a little bit. What do you think? That might go there. What else could we put? We've got a big bit and a little bit. Let's try this way. There we go. There. What have we made? We've made a heart-shaped. There's a story in the Bible that will help us to understand what Jesus means when he talks about being comforted when we're mourning, when we're really, really sad. We've managed to make a heart shape out of all these different broken pieces. And that's what we're going to be learning about today. Let's have a look and see what happens in our story about Mary and Martha, two sisters and their brother Lazarus.
God's story, Lazarus. So part of God's story is about how Jesus brought a man back to life. And it goes like this. Jesus had three really good friends, Mary, Martha, and their brother Lazarus. One day, Lazarus got really sick. He was so sick that he might die. Mary and Martha knew the only one who could heal Lazarus was Jesus. So they sent someone to find him. They found Jesus traveling and telling people about God. Now, you might think that Jesus would rush to heal his friend, but instead of leaving right away, Jesus stayed where he was for 2 more days. See, Jesus knew something no one else knew. Lazarus had died, but Jesus was going to bring him back to life so that they would believe that Jesus really was the Son of God. When Jesus finally got to Lazarus' house, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Mary and Martha were heartbroken. Martha said, Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha didn't understand at first. What Jesus meant was that he would actually bring Lazarus back to life here on earth. Jesus was saying, because he's the Son of God, he's more powerful than death. After that, Martha's sister Mary ran to Jesus and fell at his feet. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her crying, he was so sad. In fact, when Jesus came to the tomb where Lazarus was buried, he cried too. His friend, who he loved so much, was dead. Kids, have you ever felt sad because of something that happened to you or someone you cared about? Just like us, Jesus felt pain and sadness because of what happened to his friend. Then, Jesus told some people to roll away the big, heavy stone in front of the tomb. He looked up and prayed, Father, I know that you always hear me. Then he called out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out! And then Lazarus walked out. This man who had been dead for 4 days was now standing in front of everyone, walking and talking and alive. The people were amazed. You see, Jesus knew all along that he could bring Lazarus back to life. Jesus wanted people to see who he was, the Son of God. He wanted people to see God's greatness, that God could do anything, even bring someone back from the dead. And Jesus was about to do something even more incredible. He himself was about to die for us, be buried in a tomb for 3 days, and then come back to life. And he did it to rescue us from all of our pain, sadness, and wrong choices. And when we believe in him, we get to be a part of God's family forever. And that's the story of Lazarus. So, in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Jesus' friend Lazarus got sick. Lazarus died. His sisters were really sad. Jesus was sad too. Jesus brought Lazarus back to life. Later, Jesus died. He came back to life too. And he was able to do it all because he's God's son. And that's a part of God's story.
Mary and Martha didn't have the full picture of what Jesus was doing. Like our heart puzzle, the pieces here, when they were separate, were actually part of a bigger picture. Mary and Martha only saw a little bit of the story that Jesus was trying to show them. They only saw that their brother was dead. Why didn't Jesus come to help them, they thought. If he loved them, he would have cared and come straight away. Isn't this also what we sometimes feel when we go through difficult things? We feel that God doesn't seem to be there. He doesn't seem to care. He doesn't seem to understand our situation. Why doesn't he help me right now? We may even think that he doesn't love us and care about us at all. But the story of Lazarus reminds us that God's got a bigger picture in mind. He's working out a plan that includes the whole world. And yet we see that even Jesus cried. He cried because he understood the sisters' pain. He understood what they were feeling inside them, and he loved them, and he knew they were sad and they were hurting. He wanted them to know that there was important reason for why he didn't come to heal Lazarus before he died. He'd got a more important, bigger plan. He wanted to show them that he was bigger and stronger even than death. We know that Jesus was going to die too, and even he came back to life. And the sisters learned that in all these things, even the death of their brother, God worked together for the good because they loved God. God will put the pieces of our lives together to bring him all the glory, and ultimately it will be for our good. We can find real comfort believing that God's in control when it feels like everything else is out of control, and he's got a better plan for our lives. And it's our job to share that comfort that we feel from Jesus with others when we're feeling sad and when they're feeling sad and having a difficult time. So we've got 2 more things to show you. The first one is something that my big grown-up children like to do to help them feel better, for them to feel comforted when they're feeling down and a little bit sad. Do you know what it is? It's a chocolate mug cake. Maybe you'd like to make one for your friends. Let me show you how to do it. Let's go and make one. Okay, so here we have everything ready for our mug cake. We need a tablespoon and a mug and a spoon for our mixing, and then you need 4 tablespoons of flour, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 3 tablespoons of milk, 3 tablespoons of oil, and 1 egg. And that's it. All we've got to do is mix them all together. So we're going to start with our flour, put that in our mug. There we go. We're going to mix in the sugar. Remember, it's 4 tablespoons of each of those. 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Oh, is it all going to fit in? Let's give that a little mix just to start it off a little bit. There we go. That's it. Then we're going to put in 3 tablespoons of milk. Give that a little stir. Smells delicious. That's it. Make sure you get your spoon right down to the bottom because that's where all the powder's sticking. And then we're going to put in our oil. Give that a bit of a mix, it's getting very full. Well, here we go. Give it a really good stir. Give it a good mix, and then last of all, we're going to put in our egg. Mine's, you don't get any shell in. That will give it a crunch that you don't want. There we go. Pop the egg. And give it a good stir there. Can you see the yellow yolk popped? Mix it all together. Stir it all around. Delicious, the quickest chocolate cake you're ever going to make. There we go. And then we're going to pop it in the microwave for 1.5 to 2 minutes, depending on your microwave, and it should be cooked. Let's see what happens. And here we go, one delicious chocolate mud cake. I'm very tempted, but I'm actually going to go and surprise Peter with this and give him a little bit of chocolate comfort. One top tip just before we go is I might have had to just clean my mug a little bit because I did have a chocolate explosion. So when you do yours, make sure that your mixture doesn't come above about here in your mug, whatever size mug you're using. Enjoy your mug cakes.
Hello kids and welcome back. I hope you got on well with starting the tops of your mobiles. Whether you chose to make a honeycomb or a hive or something of your own design, we would love to see what you came up with. I also hope your bee attitudes have been good last week. Well, this week we are going to make, guess what, another bee. As this week's bee attitude is, blessed are those who are sad and upset, for God will comfort them. I thought it'd be nice to make a kind of cuddly toy type of bee. So I have chosen to use pom-poms and wool to make my bee. Now you might want to use yellow wool and black wool to make your own pom-pom, or you could buy pom-poms already. The first thing I'm going to be doing is to glue the yellow pom-pom to the black pom-pom. Then I'm going to take the end of the wool and then I'm going to glue it on the back. Having glued the head and the body together, and then also the end of the wool on the back end of the body using a suitable glue such as fabric glue, I then begin to wrap the wool around in a sort of spiral pattern. A little bit tricky to start with, but if you keep going all the way around, keep moving it towards the front of the body, it produces a lovely striped effect, and then you can wrap it round this part a couple of times and then cut it off, and it should just stay in place by itself. Then the next part is to stick your googly eyes on the front of the head, and then also maybe just draw a little mouth with a Sharpie or something like that. I take my black pipe cleaner and cut it into short lengths, each of which is made into an M shape for the pairs of legs. You'll need 3 of them because there are 6 legs, so 3 pairs. And then the first one is the smallest one, and that just gets stuck at the front here. The slightly bigger one just behind it, and then the largest one at the back. And then the finishing touch will be the antenna, which is your V-shaped M. Okay, I have now attached this week's bee and this week's bee attitude card to my mobile, And I'll remind you of the words. It says, "Blessed are those who are sad and upset, for God will comfort them." And I will leave you with this Shakespearean phrase, "To be or not to be, that is the question." See you next week.
Blessed be your name.